Everyone, welcome to the next episode of Dear Guava Bean. I'm Francesca and with me is Claire, and today we're discussing a question that we got in the sandbox. Sathya asks, Dear Guava Bean, I recently got banned from Upwork stating I've submitted a high number of proposals for jobs. I've also appealed for the decision they made, which they said why they need to add me back, but they still said it remains suspended without a proper reason. Do you have any guidance for me? Okay, so Sathya, I completely understand that this probably came as a bit of a shock, and it's a little bit disheartening. I know getting suspended from platforms can be really kind of tough to take. And I do understand also that Upwork do have some policies in place just for best practices, really. They do actually try and focus as much as possible on building like a quality relationship between their freelancers and their clients. So this probably is why you have been suspended. I know obviously you mentioned as well that you were a little bit worried that they didn't really give a lot of clarification on why this was. See, the thing is, when you join a platform like Upwork, one of the main problems with a platform where there are so many freelancers is that clients can be inundated with applications for jobs. Now imagine you're in the client's position and you've come to a platform like Upwork to get the help you need for your business, and you receive hundreds of applications. I've been on Upwork since it was ODesk, and this goes back probably nearly 10 years now. And I remember when I first joined, there were honestly hundreds of applications for some jobs, which as a client can be so overwhelming. Part of the reason why they put these kind of best practices in place is just to make it easier for clients to go through kind of quality applications as opposed to just a sheer number of quantity and just getting totally overwhelmed. Now, obviously, I haven't seen your applications or your account or anything like that, Sathya. But one thing I would point out is it may be you're either applying for jobs that maybe don't quite fit your experience, or especially if you're a new freelancer. I'm not sure if you're new to freelancing or whether you're just new to Upwork, but writing proposals, it can be quite tricky to nail, and it can be tricky to get them perfect. In fact, nothing's ever perfect, but with practice does come experience and just really refining those proposals. So I think maybe that could be the case as well, that maybe you just need to work on some of your proposal writing, making them custom for every job that you apply for. And perhaps maybe that's where you've missed the mark this time, and it could have come across, to the Upwork team that maybe that wasn't why you were suitable for the platform. That could be why. And I know it's upsetting, but, unfortunately, these things do happen. What do you think, Claire, about Sathya's problem?
I think Upwork is super competitive, like really competitive. Like you said, hundreds of applications to every job post. So Upwork is doing what they can to filter the applications and just kind of promote quality over quantity on the platform. That's really what they're concerned about. They want to protect both the employer and the freelancer and just make everyone have a good experience. And so I think that when applying to platforms like Upwork and using Upwork, you got to remember that because of the really high competition, you have to stand out and your proposal has to stand out even more than a regular job or a regular proposal. Like, I consider Upwork to be almost the most competitive platform for freelancing. Would you say so?
Absolutely. As I said, I've been in the freelancing game a long time now, probably nearly a decade. And I've seen platforms come and go. Upwork, if you're listening and you didn't know, used to be Elance and ODesk. So you may have heard those names floating around as well. I think it was a couple of years ago since they combined into Upwork. So yeah, they've always been around. They've been around for a long time. I think since 2008. I think it's even as long ago as that. So a lot of freelancers are aware of it. And so as a byproduct, lots of freelancers are on the platform. And as you say, quite right, they're competing against each other for these projects. And, there's a lot of good quality, amazing clients on there, global brands. I've certainly found global brands on there myself, new small businesses and everything in between as well. So it's understandable that there would be a lot of competition, which obviously makes it harder, as I say, for the client and for the application process in general as well, if you're a freelancer yourself. One thing I did want to touch on actually is just how Upwork has been around for such a long time. They have obviously tweaked the way it works. And recently, in fact, Sathya, you did mention in your question in the sandbox that the suspension happened around about May, which at the time of recording is a couple of months ago. And recently they changed the way that Upwork works for freelancers. So where you used to have a certain amount of what they call connects, which is like the currency they use that you would spend to apply for jobs, they don't give you a certain amount for free anymore. You have to pay for those up front. So their thinking behind that is that they are going to get much higher quality applications for jobs, and you're not going to be inundated if you're a client with tons of applications, because freelancers have to pay for them now. And I think this suspension happened around the time that they made that change. So the jury's kind of out on whether that will affect their best practices and how they actually look to implement these. But I can imagine that that system change is going to probably have an effect for any future freelancers that look to use the platform as well. With that in mind, obviously, I think potentially you could look to coming back to Upwork in the future, or maybe try a new platform. What do you think, Claire?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, like we talked about, the competition on Upwork, when they say that you've been suspended for submitting a high number of job proposals, what they're really saying is that you've gone for quality over quantity. And now they see you as someone who is just higher on the quantity side, and that's not what they're about. They're trying to create a platform that focuses on quality. And so in order to do that, they have to put these restrictions in place because they have the ability to select from hundreds and thousands of freelancers. So Upwork is, they're not short of freelancers. They don't have to change their policies to make it easier. What I would suggest is going to another platform that is a little bit more welcoming to freelancers, maybe doesn't have the high volume. And so because of that, they don't have to restrict the quality or the quantity of proposals. For example, I got started on freelancer.com, and I don't know if they've changed any rules since, but in that time, I was able to submit a lot of proposals without any worry of getting banned or suspended. So I think since I was so brand new, I had no idea how to write proposals. Freelancer.com kind of gave me the start that I needed to get clients, get projects, sharpen my proposal skills. And I feel like now, if I were to go to Upwork, I would have a much better chance of getting jobs because I have experience and skills as a freelancer. And I kind of think that's what you need to be successful on Upwork.
I agree. I think that you're right. I have dabbled in freelancer.com, and as far as I remember, they do have a wider range of the types of projects that you can apply for too. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. If you're a new freelancer and you're looking to gain some experience and you want to get testimonials from clients, you want to know what it's like to work with people remotely, I think this really does apply for new freelancers. I think, maybe using a platform, like you say, that is more lenient and has less of a barrier to new freelancers than Upwork, that could definitely work. And I think it really does take connecting with other freelancers, like we have the sandbox, but also that hands-on experience with clients is the only way you really learn how to work with people and what makes a good proposal, how often to follow people up, that kind of thing. Just the whole freelancer experience can definitely be but you're right. I think maybe a platform such as that. And also kind of touching on what we were just saying about Upwork, kind of having these best practices in place. I really think that over the years, Elance and ODesk, again, that's what they used to be called before they fused together to form Upwork. I think they gained quite a bad reputation, unfortunately, which is unfounded. I love Upwork, but I think they got this bad reputation of kind of freelancers all racing to the bottom to just quote the cheapest price for projects, and that's really not what a lot of clients want. So I think the thinking behind the way they've now changed the platform is also to make it, like you said, kind of quality over quantity. And that's what we should all strive for as freelancers, right? We want to be known as being a quality freelancer that's good at their work, that, you know, is a first choice for a client. And that's great if you have the experience and you've been able to get your foot in the door. And I do think these days it is harder with Upwork. So again, touching on what you said, Claire, about maybe sort of learning how to write proposals and things, that can be one of the main things that you can work on, where you don't necessarily need to have already worked with a client to actually improve. You know, we've actually written a guide on how to write a winning proposal, and we'll link that as well just below the podcast. But we really think it's an important part of being a freelancer is to know how to approach clients and to know how to write a proposal that's going to stand out, because, you know, like you said as well, Claire, Upwork is so competitive. So if you can get your proposal standing out, that's a head start in my book. You know, if you can get people reading, they're going to want to contact you. If they think it stands out and you've made a different approach maybe, or, you know, it's just a better quality and more specific proposal that's been written directly for the client that you're contacting, it makes all the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. The proposal is so important. And that's why we have a topic in the sandbox specifically for getting people to review. You know, you can post your proposal and get like actual review and critiques on it, because that's what the clients see. That's their first impression, and that's what's going to base their decisions. And so it's so important, if you're using a website like Upwork or Freelancer, that your proposal is super on point. And that's why I feel like Upwork can be a slightly advanced platform. Not saying that new freelancers won't have success, but anyone, in order to have success, is going to have a killer proposal. And that's something that takes a little bit of time and experience to develop. But I love the guidelines that we have in that blog post. If you follow those guidelines and you practice writing your proposal and you work on it and improve it, like, you can definitely get to a point where you're nailing clients and you're getting projects on Upwork without having any of these problems.
Exactly right. And I think if you can focus on writing that proposal, which is really going to catch the attention of these clients, you're not going to have to worry about the fact there's competition, because you're going to be standing right at the front with this amazing proposal that, you know, and we're not suggesting it has to be like shocking or, you know, really like eye-catching in terms of it being like really stand out for some obscure reason. It's actually, it uses a lot of, to be honest with you, common sense in a proposal, you know, just making a human connection with whoever you're writing to, having thoroughly read the post and showing that in your proposal so that they know they don't have to explain it again. They know that you understand what it's all about. And I think that strengthening those proposal skills obviously goes beyond Upwork. It goes to any freelancing platform. It even goes as far as pitching to clients that maybe aren't even advertising a job. You know, it can go almost to cold pitching. It's such a fundamental skill to have as a freelancer, most definitely. And it's somewhere where you can definitely start. As we've said, the sandbox, we can give you advice on how to do that. The guide we have, it's a step by step. It really does show you what you need to do, and then just practicing. Claire, I know you mentioned obviously maybe starting on a more lenient platform. That would be perfect to practice your proposal skills. Maybe go to a platform like Freelancer where the rules are less strict and you can reach out to clients and just see what the responses are like. And, you know, just the feedback you get from clients will tell you how well you're doing, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's discouraging to get banned from a website like Upwork when you're just getting started. You're still learning how to pitch and how to write good proposals. And then you get banned right away. Like, that can derail a lot of freelancers, and that can definitely discourage people. And I don't want that to happen. So I think, the two things that you really need to focus on is number one, like you said, getting that proposal right. And number two, experimenting and finding the right platform for you. Because I tried a lot of platforms and I didn't have success on all of them. But once you find the one or two platforms that works for you, that's all you need. You don't need Upwork if you find another platform that works.
Absolutely right. I 100% agree with you. And I think that what you said about feeling derailed in terms of, being suspended from a platform like this, absolutely it shouldn't discourage you from being a freelancer. You haven't done anything wrong, really, by submitting a high number of proposals if you thought you were doing the right thing. It's a learning curve, isn't it? It's not knowing what to do. Well, that's fine. None of us know what to do in the beginning, but it comes from finding your feet and experimenting and, especially as well, not just sort of being new to freelancing, but having maybe worked in a traditional job before, or maybe you've come straight out of college or straight out of high school, and all they really teach is how to apply for jobs, how to write a CV, what to do in a formal interview. Whereas freelancing isn't like that. You don't have to be writing these proposals or like these profiles on platforms like Upwork that have to read like a CV. You have an opportunity to share a piece of yourself with the potential clients. They want you to stand out for ways that isn't just your skill and experience, but also is what you like to work with. Are they going to get on with you? Are you a good fit for the company culture? That kind of thing. And it really is important. And I don't think a lot of new freelancers really get taught that a lot. And I feel like in the sandbox, we aim to change that. I think that's such an important part of finding your feet. I think as a self-employed person as well, many of us struggle with imposter syndrome. We've talked about this before, where you almost feel like, am I doing the right thing? What are all the other freelancers doing? Am I doing this right? And to be suspended from a platform can make you feel quite hurt, but it's nothing personal. It's not that you've done it wrong. In order to kind of change your thinking and improve your confidence, it can really pay to work on your skills, the things you can change, like your proposal writing and things like that. And then next time, when you use a platform, whichever platform you decide on, and as you say, Claire, experiment with different ones to see which ones fit, you'll find your confidence does grow as you start to get those responses from clients and you start working with people and learning what works and what doesn't. It can be such a confidence boost, which I think we all need as freelancers.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned something really important about like putting a piece of yourself into the proposal. I think that's something that most beginners fail to do. And that's really like the biggest rookie mistake that I see when newbies submit a proposal or a job application, and you can tell it's just a generic copy and paste template that they've probably sent to a million other people. And yeah, those kind of proposals are just outdated. Like that might work 10 years ago, 5 years ago. It might work in your country or a different country, but when you're applying on an international platform like Upwork, where the competition is high and you're competing against really talented freelancers who are not afraid to show personality and to write a custom proposal and really pitch to the client instead of just putting out some facts about what you can do and what experience that you have, I think you really have to take your proposal to the next level and put, like you said, a piece of yourself into it in order to really stand out and get recognized on these big platforms.
I agree. I think putting a piece of yourself, as we're saying, can feel daunting to a new freelancer. I remember when I first started, I was so scared that people would think I was unprofessional because I was, hey, how are you? Like, hope you've had a good week and all this stuff. And it's like, that's just people being nice to other people. You don't have to worry about coming across as unprofessional if you're just being yourself. There's still room for both. You can still be an amazing freelancer and have a personality. People know that you are a unique person. Yeah, you've got experience and skills, but so many companies want beyond that. And I think that's so important. In fact, I think it kind of goes the other way now. Instead of coming across formal and stuffy almost in your response, because that's the way you've been taught, and that used to be the way that would be professional and businesslike. I think if clients receive too many of those, they're going to be like, yeah, I next. They're going to want someone different. They're going to want someone who is not afraid, like you say, to show a piece of themselves. I do think that's hard, though. Definitely hard to kind of wrap your head around when you're a new freelancer. And that's okay to feel scared. Because it comes with experience, but the more you practice, the more you kind of let yourself be in these proposals and you're not just firing them off, as you say, like copy and pasted responses. I think the more comfortable you'll feel with that. And then the more success you'll get from it too.
Yeah, absolutely. It takes months. It took me ages to get over the whole fear of like, is this good enough? Is it a good proposal? Is it not good? It took me months to finally just get over that and realize that it's not about being good enough. It's about, representing yourself well and putting out a proposal for a job that you're actually excited to work for. And if you're excited to work for that job, then you're going to write a proposal that is going to have some of that enthusiasm and that excitement. And that's going to translate to the employer when they read. And that's really important.
I agree. I think it took me a long time too, because you always wonder whether you're doing the right thing. You always wonder whether you could have included just that extra thing in the proposal once you've sent it, has that client not responded to me because I didn't write the right thing? And it's like, you don't always know what the client is thinking too. You might know the project, you might know the details they've put in, the description, the brief, but you never know what they're thinking. I think if you can just nail or at least practice and get as close to nailing what makes a good proposal for you and what works just from applying and seeing what kind of responses you get, and from some of the advice that we can give you as well, I think that makes the best thing to do. I mean, you can almost do like a blueprint for how you write a proposal, and that's not copy and pasting, but it kind of reminds you of what you need to include, what things to avoid, and just it will become second nature eventually. But it's okay if you get it wrong a few times. Like, I can't stress that enough. You are a human and it's okay to make these mistakes. If anything, you kind of need to grow and to move on and just, I know I keep saying it, but just keep practicing those proposals, practice how you approach clients, and the work will come eventually.
Yeah, that is so true. I cannot say it better myself. I think we've covered this topic really well. I feel more inspired to work on Upwork now.
I do. Do you know, it's such a fantastic place to work. And I really would encourage any freelancers listening to try these platforms out for themselves, because until you have, I don't think it can really be stressed how valuable they can be. Some of my best clients have come from Upwork. So, I know there's been a lot of, potentially negative press in the past. I really think you need to try it for yourself to really understand the value.
You're a top-rated Upwork freelancer, right?
Yeah, I am. When they first introduced the top-rated system, I think 5 years ago probably, I did become the top-rated, and I actually was the only one in my country for the type of work I did, and that was for a couple of years. I know, go me. I didn't really believe it, to be honest. It's that imposter syndrome again, but it definitely pays to kind of just have a good relationship with the clients you find. Being top rated is great and it does give you good opportunities, but even if you're not top rated, there are still some amazing opportunities out there, and really you can't just sit on the sidelines and just think that only those top rated people are going to get those clients, because it really isn't like that. Get stuck in, get contacting these clients, and you will win some amazing projects that could lead on to, new relationships too.
Absolutely. You never know what might come of it. You just have to put yourself out there and just do your best. If you get banned, just move on to another platform. Keep working. It'll happen eventually.
I agree. I think that really a big takeaway from this is just that mistakes are okay. It doesn't make you a bad freelancer, and by no means let it discourage you from pursuing remote work and finding clients, because, Upwork is one avenue. There are so many more that you can try.
Yeah. If anything, this is just feedback that tells you you got to work on your proposal skills. You just got to work on pitching to the right people and maybe putting a little more effort into creating a proposal that people will actually be excited to read.
Exactly. And as you've said, Claire, we can help with that in the Sandbox. We also have a great guide that can literally show you everything you need to put in a proposal. And then you just practice and use those skills, get feelings, get feedback from the people you speak to, and you will just build your confidence, you'll build your freelancing experience, and hopefully you'll build your client base as well.
Yeah, exactly. And that guide is free on the website. I'll put the link in the comments or in the notes somewhere so that everyone can check it out. Francesca, thank you so much for sharing all of your thoughts and your advice. It's so valuable to have someone who knows the platform so well and has been on it for so long.
Well, it's my pleasure. And again, Claire, thank you so much to you, because you have all this insight that might not be Upwork specific, but you know, you've been a freelancer for years too. You know what it's like working on these platforms, and I think it all kind of applies really, no matter whether you're on Upwork or Freelancer or another platform. So I really appreciate it. Thank you. So guys, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. We had some amazing points of view and some great feedback, and Sathya, I hope it's helped you. Now guys, it's your turn. Have you been banned or suspended from Upwork? And what happened next? We really would love to know, so please do comment in the Sandbox and we'll get involved in the conversation. Okay guys, until next time, keep being awesome.